Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Adventure Paradox podcast. I am so excited. We have a guest who I first met doing the Speak Truth to Live summit. You
Oh,
may or may not have heard her there. She is back, and she is back with new things to share. She's got some exciting news for us. I'm so happy to see you, Jackie. How are you today?
I am happy and blessed. If I were any better, there'd be two of me. Yeah, and Kat, in particular, I'm happy to be here with you. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you and your podcast and the work that you're doing in the world. It's just lovely to know that you are on this planet at the same time as me, raising the consciousness for humanity and making the world a better place. So thank you.
Amen, Jackie Woodside. And the feeling is mutual. I want to share your bio right now so that people who maybe haven't heard of you before know
Yeah.
exactly who you are because you are bringing so many things to this planet, and I am a huge fan. Jackie Woodside is a USA Today and five-time international Amazon best-selling author, TEDx speaker, international trainer, and professional coach. She is the founder of the Conscious Living Summit, which I think you said you ran for 4 years, and the Conscious Living podcast. Jackie is the executive producer of the upcoming film, Money Vibe, based on her best-selling book by the same name. Oh my gosh, you're a producer of a film. Like,
Yeah.
how did that come into being? I know it's based off of a book, but like what's the origin story?
Yeah, great. Thank you for asking. So, right, so I wrote a book, right? I wrote a book called Money Vibe, and what that is, your financial freedom formula, whether you have money or not, is the subtitle of that book. So, your money vibe is the pattern of energy of your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and thoughts. When your inner world, your vibe, if you will, your consciousness, but nobody wants to talk about consciousness because that's kind of dry and boring. But people get like, oh, I just like her vibe. I don't know what it is
Mm.
about him. I just like his vibe. Or like, oh, I don't know. I don't like their vibe, right? Everybody gets that. And there's science behind what that vibe is. So, and we have a vibe about everything, about our marriage, about our kids, about fitness, and oh, do we have a vibe about money? So I wrote that book, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it went well. It was, very well received. I've spoken from top topics on that book all around the world. And, it's this new era, right? Where it's one thing, it's like, oh, ho hum, you're an author. Now everybody is doing documentary films.
Mm.
And so I met a guy, don't all good things start with that sentence. I met a guy who was a film director. He'd produced a film before called Beyond the Secret. And he and I met at a networking event and we hit it off. And he loved the idea of my work around Money Vibe. And he's like, that would make a great film. I was like, really? It's like, yeah. So I was like, let's do it. I've never made a film before, but let's do it. I've got great ideas and you have a little bit of skill and we should be able to put those together and we'll do this thing. So we started the process about 2 years ago and gosh, it's one of those projects that if I would have known it was going to be this hard, I wouldn't have done it. How
Mm.
often do we say that? It was way more involved than I had any notion of, and I'm glad I didn't know because
Mm.
I'm really glad that I did do it. But 2 years in the making, and we are now just a breath away from releasing. The documentary film is actually called Your Money Vibes. My book is Money Vibe, but the film is Your Money Vibes. You can find that at yourmoneyvibes.com. So that's the backstory, and why did I write the book was I was actually engaged in doing a big move from Massachusetts to DC, and I was totally freaking out about it. And I thought, well, what better timing than when my life was being totally disrupted? I needed a big project to focus on. So in the middle of that, I decided to write another book. That's that's how I produced the Money Vibe book in the first place.
It's so interesting, and I love how you always start with happy and blessed, and you frame that around whatever it is, come what may. And I also love this idea of you've got so much going on, you're engaged, you're moving, and that was the moment when the book idea came in.
Yeah.
Then you met a guy, and then it turned into a movie. I would love to hear like your thoughts. I know it's hasn't been released to an audience yet, but there's always that criticism of like the book was better. What are you
Uh,
seeing with the film, like bringing it to life from the written form to a visual form? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think they're just really different. For people who are book people, they're going to like the book better. For people who are visual, auditory people, they're probably going to like the film better. What's different about it, though, is that the book is just me. It's Jackie on steroids. It's my thoughts, it's my creativity. And the film is a cast of 12 to 15 people. Joe Vitale and Sister Jenna and Michael Beckwith and Dawson Church, Coot Blackson, Marie Diamond, Marissa Peer, Bruce Lipton. So we have some extraordinary teachers. Kelly Resendez, who's a friend and colleague of mine. The director is Daniel Rechnitzer from Australia. So it's a very large and robust cast of people that are bringing in their thoughts on the teaching aspects of money and frequency and vibration. And so I would say it goes a bit broader and has more variety of
Mm.
because there's so many different teachers with it, and it's beautifully done. I think the documentary film is really quite beautiful. I hope we win some awards with it because I
Yay.
think the production value is really quite good.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I know you have a bit of a film tour coming up. Where are you going to be featuring it, or do you sort of know yet certain film festivals? Like, where are you entering it for awards?
We're just starting that process right now. We're in conversations with two different places in California, and we just hired somebody actually to do all of the film festival applications and to bring us into that space.
You're making me think about summits. And since this is sort of how we met, and a bit of what I'm hearing with the film is that it's a collaboration, this co-creation with lots of different energies and voices around the topic of your money vibes. Could you just speak to that? I know you've run a lot of different summits and worked with a lot of different people and really facilitating the conversation specifically around your money vibes and what that's been like with the lens of a summit.
Yeah, right. So I went from writing the book, and then you're right, I forgot that step. I wrote the book, and then for several years, the last 4 years, I ran also a Money Vibes Summit, which is an online conference of speakers, teachers, and experts who were bringing various aspects of the money consciousness mindset and some skill as well, different teachers of financial skill together for the summit. So it's been whether it's the book or the film or the summits, all of them were an enormous amount of work,
Mm,
and just different kinds of work. The book is a lot of hours alone, gutting it out with your own creativity and your inner muse, your inner critic of, putting it together. So that's kind of the book. And then the summit is being just a really badass logistics manager of pulling together people from different aspects of the same topic, which
mm.
is not always easy to do. Um, and doing a ton of interviews over time. And then the film was all of that, plus the artistic filming, photography and videography, making a beautiful set, doing costume changes and having people bring different clothing, making sure there wasn't repetition of people saying the same things over and
Mm,
over again. So it was a very demanding, creative, and we were filming on location. These are not Zoom interviews in the
mm.
film. We went to three different locations in California. We went to Las Vegas to film. We had one film shoot in Australia. I think one in Florida, a film shoot in Florida. So we've done a lot. We've gone to a lot of places to make this happen. Yeah.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
then,
And
having to have the setup, most of them we rented really nice high-end Airbnbs
mm,
and then set a stage, a filming set with and brought in a professional film crew with all of the lighting, all the sound. even the little clicker thing of, frequency, money vibe, take one.
Oh
Jackie
my
Woodside,
gosh.
money vibe, take one, take two, take three. So it was really nice working with this very, high level professional film crew. I'd never done any of that before. It's exciting.
I'm like, all my childhood dreams are coming through as you're like, take one, take two, like really being on the set and
Being on the set, yeah, and like watching, I mean, so many people's expertise. We had just lighting designers, we had sound designers, we had a director of photography who was setting the stage and making sure that everything ran smoothly. I mean, there were so many people at each of these sets. It
Mm,
was unbelievable. And it's super expensive equipment,
that, yeah.
12,000, $20,000 cameras and so it's really the production quality of the film is super good.
That is my other question though, is like your own work around money vibes. And then when you take on a quest, and I'm hearing all of this, $40,000 cameras, and you guys were in Australia filming in Vegas and all these places. And I'm thinking that costs money, right?
Yeah.
How have you used your own work through the process of deciding, I'm guessing, to put a lot of dollars towards this beautiful creation? Like, how has it changed your vibe or come up in that process?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just me putting money toward it.
Yeah.
There were a number of the cast members who invested in being a part of the project. I mean, it's been dicey. There would be times that we'd be like right up against it, and kind of running out of funds to make this happen. Are we going to be able to figure it out? And at each component, each time that would happen, I would just lean into faith rather than fear. I
Hmm.
mean, that is the magic cure. I'm like, no, this is a film about your money vibe. And this is completely doable. We'll figure it out. I don't know the way through right now, but if we bring the vibration of fear, I know that it's going to create that outcome that none of us want to have. So I'm just going to lean into faith that we'll get figured out. And, lo and behold, something would happen. We'd bring in another person who wanted to invest or a person who wanted to be a part of it in some way, and money would appear. That's how we roll with Money Vibe.
I love that. And I just love the whole concept of money vibe. It was every year I pick a word for the year, and vibe was my word a couple years ago.
Yeah, I
Last
do that
year,
every year too.
okay, what's your word this year?
Miracles.
Okay, that was my word last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Last year, my word was miracles, and this year, my word is flow-tegrity, which, yes, is a made-up
Ooh,
word.
I love that. I love that.
I would love to hear you talk about this other film, which I believe is called The Frequency of Miracles, and
Yeah.
where that came from and how those two films like work together. Are they twins? Are they like
No,
what's
no, they're not twins. So Daniel Rechnitzer and I are the kind of the founders of this whole thing. And we had, thank goodness, we had the foresight to say, we're spending all of this money on film crews and on travel and on accommodations and on food, and we're doing all of this work. Why not record for two films at once?
Hmm.
So everyone that we interviewed for both Your Money Vibes and another film based on a course that I teach. I teach a course called Living in the Domain of Miracles. And Daniel does a lot of teaching around frequency. So we kind of put his work around frequency and my work around living in the domain of miracles. And we created the second film that is called The Frequency of Miracles. So that will be released in 2026. And by the way, for people who are interested in what I'm talking about here, both of these have their own websites. If you go to thefrequencyofmiracles.com, you can sign up for notifications about the release, and yourmoneyvibes.com. You can also sign up there for notifications about not only the release of the film, but also the course portal that will be with the Your Money Vibes. And both of these will have course portals that go with them. So, so that's how, Daniel and I were like, well, we're doing all this filming anyway. Why don't we film for more than one? Um, so the Frequency of Miracles is a film about the intersection of science and spirituality. Understanding that spiritual law is science and that science is spiritual law, And what a lot of the wisdom traditions and teachers have been telling us for thousands of years is now being verified by science. So it's a great film. Yeah, I'm so excited about both of them. The cast on The Frequency of Miracles is much bigger. Um, that's presenting its own challenge but, in terms of the editing. So that one actually is probably going to end up being a series because we have so much good footage for it.
Hmm, very cool. I love that you made two movies at once. That's like the
Who does that,
quintessential. I
right?
mean, you do that. Of course you do that. You know?
Right.
It's why you're happy and blessed, which
Yeah,
could be
happy and
another
blessed.
great film in the future, by the way. Happy and
Right,
blessed.
right.
But I love this sort of habit stacking and how you saw the opportunity and again just said, wow, this is already happening. What if we do this alongside? We're already there. We've got the equipment there. Like it's just so, so genius. And it's making me think a little bit about, first of all, just how incredible you are, Jackie. Like
Oh, you're so kind.
your blueprint, your, original medicine and divine reasons for being here, and this idea of like science now essentially proving what spiritual teachers have been talking about, forever. What's your own personal spiritual journey, and like how did you come into this space of miracles, your
Yeah.
own frequency?
Gosh, that's such a great question. So I grew up kind of conservative Catholic. My mom was the bishop's secretary until she retired, and so I grew up really very involved in Catholic youth. I was on the bishop's youth council. I was the only youth representative on the bishop's council. Anyway, so very involved, very always had a very deep spiritual sense as a young child. But as I got older, I wanted more than what Catholicism was offering me. So I went to an evangelical Christian college, conservative evangelical Christian college, which let's just say was an interesting 4 years. It didn't, I didn't get thrown out. Let's put it that way. I didn't get thrown out, but it was when I was in college that I came out as being gay and almost got thrown out of college because of that, because I was at a conservative evangelical Christian school. So that led to a pretty significant spiritual crisis for me, what I would call a dark night of the soul, where I just felt so lost because I had gone toward conservative evangelical Christianity where gay people don't have a place, and Catholicism as well. Gay people don't have a place. So I just went spiritually underground for a long time until by the grace of God, found the Unity spiritual movement. Unity is part of the New Thought tradition that was founded about 150 years ago. Unity was Centers for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind, Agape. These are all spiritual traditions inside of New Thought. And so I've been a person heavily involved, a teacher and practitioner, not a minister, though I did not get ordained, but very involved in the Unity or the New Thought spiritual movement for the last 20 years, 20 plus years. Um, and that's where my interest in the intersection of science and spirituality is. Unity is a metaphysical interpretation of Christian theology.
Hmm.
And the metaphysics really drew me in. And then that's where I got into being like a science and spirituality junkie and understanding that what wisdom tradition has taught for many years about the vibratory pattern of our thoughts and emotions being a creative element of life is now being borne out in science. And I find that just so inspiring and just such a blessing to be living at this time that people are starting to understand that more.
So good. Something you just said, I think, is a really interesting phrase, this idea of the vibratory patterning, right? And I'm thinking about today is November 4th. It's the first Tuesday in November. People are voting. And I feel like we're in a society that's so polarizing right now. And again, that vibe, right? Like, what's the vibrational patterning? What do you see when you think about that in the world today and some themes that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think so. Humanity evolves, right, from a place of separation and disconnect to a place of oneness and wholeness, and that evolution is not linear. Just like our own personal evolution, it's not like you go from, fully asleep in consciousness to fully awakened.
Yeah.
or a process of healing. It's not like you go from highly traumatized to completely, stable and on board. Recovery process. It's not like you go from being an active alcoholic to completely sober and cured overnight. Like, no, there's no human process that's linear.
Mm.
So humanity is evolving consciously or unconsciously. And
Mm-hmm.
there are periods of rapid ascension toward oneness, peace, harmony. And there are periods of decline.
Mm.
And just like a relapse, if you will, if you liken it to a person who is in recovery from addictions, they go through periods of recovery and maybe going to meetings, meeting with a sponsor or in recovery program, and then they relapse.
Mm-hmm.
But often the relapse isn't as profound as the last one, and it's not as long as the last one. If they stay engaged in the conversation for recovery, over time, the periods of relapse are shorter, and then
Mm-hmm.
they get longer and longer periods of recovery to which, and this, by the way, mirrors my own life. I have recovered from addictions.
Mm-hmm.
There, by the grace of God, I have recovered. And I know in 12 step, they say I'm an addict. I don't say that. I say I am recovered
Mm-hmm.
because I want to use the power of my words to create the experience I want to have. So I say I am recovered. And I know every day I make that choice to stay recovered. But, just like a process of addiction, human consciousness is evolving the same way.
Mm.
And in my understanding of observing what's happening in our world and this massive resurgence of separation and othering
Mm.
uh, right now that's happening in our world right now, the racism, the homophobia, the transphobia, the just the abject hatred being expressed toward immigrants. It
Mm.
is, it's painful to watch. And to me, I just understand it from the bigger picture. There are periods of rapid ascension and there are periods of devolution. And we
Mm.
are in a process of devolution.
Mm.
I
Mm.
honestly, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it's not going to last too long. I'm hopeful that it won't go, although it's gone down pretty far. But that when the conscious evolution starts toward evolving again, my hope is that it will be a rapid evolution toward the
Mm.
next highest level of consciousness.
Mm. Totally. Hats off for that hope into the future. And
Yeah, I keep envisioning a world of oneness, peace, and harmony,
yeah.
and that's what's available for all of us when we recognize that there is only one consciousness that God is and that we are, and which all of us are a part of. So, growing in consciousness, the more all of us awaken and choose a path of higher consciousness, love, equanimity, peace of mind, oneness, support, generosity
Mm.
uh, the more we will create a world that works for everyone.
It's reminding me of the phrase, I don't remember who said it, but we see the world we feel, or something like that, right? And I feel like you are such a vibe, like what you just shared right there, where you're like, yeah, I'm putting that out there that it could be this, and we are all connected, and separation is an illusion, right? That for me is so powerful. It's the same with when you were talking about the film, and there were those moments where you were like, we're gonna lean into faith here. Like we're gonna recognize the energy of fear for what it is as it's trying
Yeah,
to enter the space. We're gonna
yeah,
call it out. And we're going to make space for faith at the table and possibility and that frequency of miracles of like this or better, something even better than what we could imagine, right? Like what could truly be possible. And the other thing it's making me think about, I know right after this, you're going to play basketball, that you're a big basketball player, right?
I am.
And so I'm just thinking about basketball as a metaphor for this game called life, right? Where we've got like these different chapters. You get on the court, play your game, goes well, doesn't, and then you have these moments on the bench where you're watching the game being played, right? And repeat.
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
like, what is basketball like for you? And are there any experiences like that or epiphanies that you have while you're playing, while you're in that flow state?
Oh gosh, it's such a great question. It is a metaphor for how I live my life. I love playing sports, so I'll add I play basketball 2 or 3 times a week, and I play racquetball 2 or 3 times a week. And it's interesting because basketball obviously is a team sport. Racquetball, I play individual sports. Oh, I play some doubles, but I'm in a men's league where I play one-on-one individual racquetball. And so in either of those athletic pursuits that I'm engaged with, I do this thing mentally that is very much like me setting an intention and visualizing the outcome
Mm,
where like particularly in racquetball, if I'm receiving the serve, I just look at the ball in my opponent's hand, right? So he's at the service line and I know it's going to be, coming at me. It's going to be coming at me fast. And I just look at the ball and I think to myself, get dialed in, be dialed in, be dialed in. And the more I do that, the better my returns are, and the more I'm able to dial in on the game, dial in on what's happening right now in this moment. I make in basketball as well. I make a conscious effort, a conscious focus on actually feeling my body. Like
mm,
I want to feel the athleticism in my body. I want to feel that gracefulness. Like I totally can't dance. I'm so not a dancer, but my body is so athletic. So it's almost like I feel that dance and I want to
mm,
tune into that vibration of really feeling what my body feels like when I'm flowing, toward the basket or last I played last night and we had a couple just killer fast breaks where, one of them I got the outbound the inlet pass down on the bottom of the key, and someone came right up on me on defense, and I just caught out of the corner of my eye somebody at the top of the key flipped it behind my back. She hit, got the ball and hit the jump shot, and it was just magical. It was just
mm.
a magic, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, it was like amazing," and it happened so fast
Yeah.
you know and when you can get dialed in like that, feel your body, feel the energy, and then you can carry that experience into the way you live your life. It just gives you, if you will, a little bit of competitive edge in how you approach life because you're dialed in, you're focused, you're feeling yourself, you're paying attention to the energy. Translate that into your business and to
Mm.
decision making, into your marriage. I mean, it makes a huge difference in having, if you will, an athlete's mind, an athlete mindset, and bringing that into every area of my life.
Oh, so good. I'm like right there on the court with you in this flow state, right?
We had some really, really nice plays together last night. And yeah, it was really fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm on my way out to play with a different group of gals Mondays and Tuesday nights. And then Wednesday and Thursday, I play racquetball. It's just really a lot of fun.
I love it. And I love that you have multiple sports you love. And I'm wondering, as a fellow athlete, if you've had periods of having to sit one out on the bench, maybe for an injury or an illness or a season, and what you've learned when you're just watching and cheering.
That's really funny. So I should say I once played a basketball tournament with broken ribs, and I
No,
won a racquetball tournament on a sprained ankle.
ouch.
So
Now girl up.
yeah, I'm not exactly the let's sit this one out kind of gal. Right now, I'm being treated for Achilles tendonitis in both feet, which is really, really painful. And I still haven't stopped playing. I saw a podiatrist. Doing this new kind of alternative therapy called soft wave therapy. It stimulates stem cell
Oh,
production
cool.
to heal. So I'm doing a lot of treatment and healing, but I haven't yet sat on the sidelines. In fact, I mean, I remember going when I played a basketball game when I had pneumonia once in high school. Yeah, I'm not a sit them out kind of gal. I can't think of one. I can't think of one example where I'm like, oh, let me just sit this one out because I have a fill in the blank injury.
I'm getting the like just keep swimming,
Yeah.
just keep
And I
swimming,
should
right?
say, so your listeners know, I'm 62 years old. So
Oh,
I've
wouldn't
been
believe
playing,
it.
yeah, I've been playing sports for a really long time. I've been on a basketball team of some sort pretty much since I was like 10 or 12 years old, and played all through high school, all through college, and still play competitively a few times a week. So, oh, I play on the national senior women's basketball team for the Massachusetts Miracles. It's a miracle that we're still playing ball at our age. So I go to the national senior games every 2 years. So yeah, being an athlete, I think I do think there's a through line here. Like who takes on creating two film, not one, but two films when I've never done it before. A huge financial investment and overlay and a lot to manage and logistics and like who does that? But when you've been an athlete and a competitor your whole life, it's just like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Totally.
You
I
know,
also hear though, like I'm just putting this game, especially basketball, because you have such a team, right? Where you're like, okay, I meet this person, like I can play ball with you. Like, let's do this. And then you start putting all your players on the field and you're all working together to create this beautiful game, right?
It is, yeah, yeah. Well, and the synergy, like that's what I love about the team sport aspect of playing basketball is like when you are all vibing together and you get in that synergistic place. And honestly, the film has been a little bit like this as well. Like, there have been moments that it was just like, ugh, hell on wheels and nobody was vibing together. And we would have to really step back and take a breath and refocus. And then there were moments where like it was just beautiful and we're vibing and
Mm.
the interviews were just so good and everybody was so engaged. It's just really beautiful. And it is very much, like a team sport, if you will, of doing anything as a group where you have to be in the same vibration, the same frequency, the same thought pattern to create something extraordinary together.
Wow. Okay, I have a few. We're gonna wrap it up here.
Okay.
Um, Just logistical questions as you're doing. I mean, one of the things, oh my gosh, this was so good. I wrote it down that you said about doing summits. You said it's basically just being a badass logistics manager.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious, I'm thinking about filming, and when I've done a little bit of filming with clients and so on, and retreats, workshops, having people sign a waiver, all those kinds of things. Is there another wave of that that logistically was part of the Money Vibes and Frequency of Miracles filming?
I mean, we had to have contracts with all of our
Yeah.
cast members. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I'm just curious, like that's a whole other space that's part of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's all, yeah, we had a lawyer and all kinds of legal agreements and yeah, oh, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. More
we've
on
we've
that later.
had yeah, we've had we have contracts with everybody that we own the rights.
Cool.
We own the rights to this intellectual property. We paid for this. We paid the crew.
Yep.
We paid the filming, the filming, the sound, the lighting. We paid for all of this, and we own it.
Mm.
So, and we did have an experience where one person possessed the hard drive and said that she owned it
Ooh.
and went off to create films with it. And yeah, we had to spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyer fees to say,
Ugh.
stop doing that because you don't own it. We own
Wow.
it.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, we've had the full gamut of the human experience with this. And so yeah, badass logistics manager, badass legal advocate, badass creative mind. There's a lot that goes into this that you don't realize until you've done it, and get into the whole process with it.
For sure, for sure. So we're gonna wrap up. I want to hear like, and you kind of cast this vision earlier, but the best, better than you could even imagine vision for Money Vibes as it's coming out, as it's birthing into this world. And I mean your Money Vibes, the film,
Yeah.
and also the Frequency of Miracles. Like, how do you want audience members to leave feeling? How do you want to feel a year from now as this is rippling through the world? Like, what's your
Yeah.
ultimate vision, Jackie?
My ultimate vision is to raise consciousness on the planet, helping people recognize that they are always the co-creators of their lives, whether they are doing that consciously or not. So my vision is that people become conscious co-creators and to create a movement around this. The secret really kind of opened the doors to people starting to understand the mind-body connection and mind outcome connection and how I actually don't teach that our thoughts are creative. I teach that our consciousness is creative, which is your thoughts, emotions, attitudes, your beliefs, your perceptions. I say your beat, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and thoughts, but it's your inner perceptual world that is the creative element. So it's not just your thoughts, it's way beyond that. It's the vibratory pattern that you are. And when I would really, I want to live in a world where everyone understands that. Because if you understand that it's your vibratory pattern that's creating your outcomes in life, you can't be a dick. You, you can't be a dick. You don't get a pass to be a racist or to other
Mm,
immigrants or to other people of a different sexual expression.
mm,
You're just like, oh, well, that's an interesting way to be in life. That's not for me, but tell me more. Help me
totally.
understand that. It's just so annoying, that now like trans people are, the ones getting thrown under the bus. And the reason for that is that people always will find someone to subjugate and to
Mm,
oppress. And it's
mm,
no longer cool to be a jerk about gay people. It's just
mhm.
not cool any longer because
Right.
there's gay people in every corner and everybody has an aunt or an uncle or a next door neighbor or a school teacher that they really like who's gay. So it's
Mhm.
like not cool any longer. But let's go after this 0.01% of our population that identifies as trans and make them the problem for our society.
Mm,
When people recognize that they're the conscious co-creators, there is no private harm and there's no private good. So I can't
mm,
harm you without harming myself, and I can't bring a blessing upon you without blessing myself.
mm. So good. Ugh. Another thing is coming through that just came through this week. I don't know if you saw Billie Eilish. She gave some money away. Did you see this, what I'm talking about? I think she gave money away either for the poor or feeding she won an award. And she got up and she said, I'm just saying, I'm not a billionaire, but some of you in this audience are. And where did your money come from?
Right.
And maybe you should give some too. And it's been going viral. So just like sort of the money vibes conversation around, what you have, what you're giving, what you're willing to see, that we're all one and all connected, I think
Yeah,
is
and to keep that flowing,
yeah.
circulating, we call money currency. Why do we
Hmm.
call that? Because it's a flow. And the more you participate actively, consciously in the flow of money in and out of your life, every time I pay a bill or spend money, I give it, I do so with blessings and gratitude,
Yeah.
not with, regret or hesitation or
Yeah.
whatever, and I'm also very conscious about where I spend my money. I want my money to be aligned with my values because all of that is energy. So there are certain places that I don't shop any longer and
Yeah.
don't spend my money any longer because I'm a big proponent of, if you will, voting with our dollars. And so
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of local shopping, small shops, small farms, farm stands, and just doing what I can to not participate in the capitalist movement of, our religion being capitalism and God being our money, or money being our God.
Totally. Yeah, there's a big old unsubscribe. My last guest said something really interesting. We were riffing on not what society's thinking.
Yes,
That
right.
there's like this whole other space when you get away from like the big, colored lights of what it should be to wait a second, really tapping in. How am I
How do
really?
I feel? Yeah.
And what's going on actually on the ground floor, that consciousness and the vibe and the integrity. And like, I am just so touched by this and honored to get to interview you about it. And I
Oh,
know
thank
our
you.
listeners are going to want to find you. Can you please tell us any other websites? I know we talked about the two websites for the two films, but where else can people find you if they
Yeah,
want?
so just to find me, it's just my name, super easy, JackieWoodside.com. And the films, yourmoneyvibes.com, thefrequencyofmiracles.com. So those are for the film, and to find me, it's just JackieWoodside.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Blue Sky. So if you want to find me in any of those places.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jackie. If there's one last thing you want to share, it's your moment. Make a shot.
Yeah, sure. I just want to leave with people like your life matters and how you live your life matters because the way that you think and feel and the decisions that you make create the vibration that's around you, and that touches other people. Anytime any one of us grows in consciousness, raises our vibe, all of humanity changes.
Mm. Amen, Jackie. Hats off to you. Thank you,
Uh,
listeners. If you loved this one, share it with a friend, leave us a review, subscribe, follow along. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you next time.